We started out with just a piece of crab apple. It had a limb coming off of the top here, and then of course the bend, but it had a real nice pattern. So let's go in and see what we can do with this and making it into a platter. I have the spur center attached on the end, and we're going to hit it about right here for the center. Alright, is what we'll do is we'll put the wood in, getting it centered over here, and bring the tailstock up, and then I'll turn it by hand slowly to see that I've got the wood turning straight. That this face is pretty much straight with the lathe, and it is. So we'll go ahead and lock that into place good with the hand wheel. We'll bring our tool rest around to the side. I usually get that up as close as I can. Make sure that it doesn't hit. Right here. And so we're ready to turn. This side is running flat with the tool rest. And so let's get to turning. We're going to use the 3/8 inch bowl gouge to do this. I start the lathe at a slow speed and kind of go to see where I get. And then I'll just start in here with the bowl gouge. Now we need to make a 10 in here so that we can mount this on the other side. And I'll just run in there with the bowl gouge and get that 10 started. Well, we've got a lot of the wood gone, and as we can see out here on the end, we're starting to get our diameter down. So what I'll do now is I'll switch around and start turning from another direction. So what I'll do now is I'll come around and I'll turn from this side and come in with the bowl gouge so that I'm not quite as hard on the bark. We'll reposition the tool rest so that I'm up here as close as I can get. Make sure that we've got our clearance. Now we know that everything on this side of the tool rest, we get a chance by hitting here. So we have to make sure we keep our hands over on this side of the tool rest. And the way I normally turn is I get my hand up here like this. As we start in there, you can see that out here where you can hear that we're hitting that. So we'll start into that real slow, easy. And as you can see where our line is for our cut. And we'll just go ahead and we'll cut this one right in. I think we'll increase the speed a little bit. One thing that does make this awkward turn is that I've got the camera between me and the lathe tool. Then I'm resting my chin on the top of the camera as I'm trying to turn this. So I'm in a little bit of an awkward position, but I think we can still get to see what we're doing here. Let's shut it off and bring our tool rest up a little bit closer. Get a little bit more support there for it. Make sure we're not hitting anything. And let's try to increase our lathe speed again. You can see the ridge where you're cutting, and so that's the ridge you follow. I usually watch up at the top. Don't worry so much where your tool is down here, but be watching the rim up on top as to what's going on. As you can see, we're starting to thin out here, and we're thinning out on that side. So let's go ahead and stop there. I'm a little bit rough. I'm a little rough right down in here. Let's see if we can straighten some of that out. Let's reposition our tool rest and get it out here more. Make sure that we clear everything. And now let's come in with a parting tool. Let's find that shoulder. And then we know that shoulder can only be so deep. So we'll go ahead and cut some off. And now I'm pretty happy with that face. So now we'll turn it around in the lathe. We'll try to break that little nub off. Most of that will bury inside the tool rest anyway, or the chuck. We'll get rid of our spur center that we used. And now we'll just chuck this into the lathe. Make sure we get it tightened down good. And now we're ready to start onto the face. We'll get our tool rest in position and make sure we clear, because sometimes you get these wings fold out a little bit. They aren't all even. So you want to make sure you hand turn that. Again, we need to keep our hand on this side of the tool rest so we don't get hit by these wings, because those are a real chopping block off there. So we'll come over to this side. We'll start the lathe up. Going in with a full gas. I usually just work into it a little at a time. Center knob off. I'm starting out here, and then I'm watching the thickness as I go back, and you can see that as this piece is spinning. And here, see, I need to get on out, and I want to come clear out here to the end and get this all turned out. So we need to take a little bit more thickness off of that yet. And we come out here, and as you can see out here, we're turning air. Slowly start in. Set it down again, and as you can see, we've got a pretty uniform thickness going all the way through. We can try to get it a little thinner if we want. Again, we're back to turning air out here. go in. As you can see, I'm just taking a little shade off of it. Just trying to clean it up. Okay, we've got a pretty smooth surface, a little bit out here on the ends is rough. So let's turn it around now and finish off the bottom. And now the way I finish the bottom is I've just got some of this foam that came with packing, and I cut a disc. And that I'm just going to lay on the inside and put that against the end of the chuck. And I can still see my hole here where I started. Line that hole up at the tailstock and make sure our foam disc is in here. And what we do is we run that around until we think this is pretty even, and that doesn't look too bad. And as you can see, we've got our foam in this side, and so we'll just crank the tailstock up to where it's pretty solid in there. Lock the tailstock in. Okay, then I'll bring my tool rest up and just get the corner of it in there. Make sure everything clears. And then is what I use is a 3/8 inch detail gouge with a Ellsworth grind on it. You can see now up here we've established a good flat spot see for our base. Alright, and from there I'll start cutting in to give that this side image there. What I'll do part of the time is I'll go in and I'll try to finish some of that off with just a 1/2 inch skew. And it's just kind of nibble away at it. Until we get it down pretty good. Now I've got just a small section left, but once we release the tailstock, usually that'll just bust right off. Then I can go in with a carving tool and just kind of cut the rest of that nib off and get that pretty well straightened out. And a little bit of sanding and we'll have it done. But anyway, there is our platter finished, and we've got a nice grain to it. Our thickness is pretty much the same in the center. The edges we've got pretty well straight, but that's our platter. And by using that limb, by using the limb that had the branch, we ended up with a real nice grain on that.